Doc, you gotta help me. You're the only one who knows how your time machine works.
Time machine? I haven't invented any time machine.
I'm telling you, Doc, you gotta believe me.
Then tell me, future boy, who's the president of the United States in 2020?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump? The billionaire reality show host with an insane comb-over that looks like he was struck with a lightning bolt made of Cheeto dust? Ha! Then who's the vice president? Hugh Hefner?
Doc.
I suppose Madonna is the first lady.
Wait, Doc.
And Jeffrey Epstein is the secretary of the Treasury.
Doc, you gotta listen to me.
I've had enough practical jokes for one evening.
No, wait.
Good night, future
Doc,
boy.
Doc, the bruise on your head, I know how that happened. You told me the whole story. You were standing on your toilet and you were hanging a clock and you fell and you hit your head on the sink, and that's when you came up with the idea for the flux capacitor, which is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor! The flux capacitor!
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
You can't handle the truth. King Kong ain't got shit on me. I am the third revelation.
I am so much crazier than you.
I am the one who knocks.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Nice thing, big boy, huh? That's bright. Fucking.
Everybody on? Good. Great. Grand. Wonderful.
Welcome to Facing Off, a podcast where we travel back in time to the 1980s to take two movies we find to be similar to compare, contrast, and rate. This episode is either going to be most heinous or most triumphant. I'm Gabe. And hello, McFly. Anyone there, McFly? Don't be so gullible, McFly. Nick, what's up, dude?
I am Nick J. Tellier, Esquire, and this is Gabriel Siegel, and we are Wild Stallions.
Woo!
Or actually, we're not. We're facing off.
Yo, and we had to bring on our most punk rock, wasted youth of a friend, Blake. Blake LaCroix, what's up, buddy?
Hi, guys. That was a lot. I didn't have anything prepared like that, but...
Nope,
you weren't supposed to.
Okay, well, all right. We're here then.
You've done all you can.
You were supposed to protect us. Asgard was supposed... different movie. Blake, we are so happy to have you on, especially for a movie that's your favorite movie, and neither Nick nor my favorite movie. Just kidding. Nick is going to get mad.
Yeah, today's episode is Back to the Future versus Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
And Back to the Future is my favorite movie. And also, it is Blake's favorite movie.
Yeah. Blake, tell the audience about yourself and how you know us. Who are you?
Well, I'm 5'9", overweight, spend way too much time on the couch watching movies. COVID is really suiting me.
Wait, so do you officially have it?
No. I tested negative. I was sick the past 2 weeks. For anybody that is worried or cares about me.
No, not a thing.
I tested negative for the regular flu, tested negative for COVID, went in and got a chest x-ray. They told me I don't have pneumonia. And at the end of it, they were like, we don't really know what you have, but you don't have any of the things we're really concerned about you having, so just go home until you feel better. So I did that, and now I'm just about feeling better.
Oh, we're so happy to hear that.
I know.
Good.
I'm glad I lived to make it to the podcast. I could probably die.
I also just realized, Happy Easter, guys.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Happy Easter.
He is risen.
We are all eating hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah.
That's all that's in this mug. Just
Nick, do you have any
blended up
shout-outs?
hard-boiled eggs, baby.
Ew,
What?
that's disgusting. Beautiful.
Hey, shout out to my mom. It was her birthday this last week on Wednesday, but because of quarantine, I literally did not know the date. So like all my work daily contact logs, I'll just say 4/7 for a long time, and then 4/9, and I was like, what happened to my mom's birthday, the 8th? And then I realized on the 9th that the 8th was the day before. and I thought it was that day. And this story is very
that's how
confusing.
calendars work for sure.
But I
That
definitely
the day before the 9th is the 8th, and the day after the 7th is
7,
the 8th.
8, 9,
Claire's
10.
Claire's mom's birthday is April 7th, and on April 8th, she did the same thing and realized she like missed a day. She thought it was the day
Dude,
before.
that's what
and
I
missed her
did.
birthday.
Horrible child birthday trend.
I know.
We are awful.
I was-
So shout out to my mom's. She'll never know that we do this podcast because I don't want her listening to this at all.
Well, I
She
got a
won't
quick
get it.
shout out. Shout out to your mom. Happy belated birthday. I do that all the time, by the way. Okay. Oh, it's been upgraded to unlimited minutes. Our Zoom thing. Thanks,
We have
Nick.
unlimited Zoom
Hey,
minutes.
This episode is brought to you by Southern New Hampshire University. And shout out to Brad Payne, who emailed Facing Off Podcast, and he said, "Hello, Facing Off Podcast. I wanted to inform you about this new online degree program that is designed to meet your needs." And it was by Brad Payne. And so what I said in response, and Blake, maybe you'll appreciate this, because fuck this guy and automated things. I said, "Hi, Brad," or should I say, automated robot Brad. Facing Off is a podcast and not a person. Why the fuck would it, as a podcast, apply to complete an online degree? How in any way is this online degree designed to meet a podcast's needs? This is why we at the Facing Off Podcast are unafraid of robots taking over the world. Robots and automated systems are stupid and can't tell the difference between a podcast and a person. Yours truly, Facing Off, a fucking podcast.
Did they pay you for that plug? I'm just sitting here
Shout
like,
out to
Yeah.
Southern
Not
New
yet,
Hampshire
baby.
University. We are
Not yet.
actually, if you plug in promo code Facing Off at Southern New Hampshire, Hampshire University, you get a free online degree program. Everybody gets degrees. You get a degree.
If you guys ever do start getting ads placed, can you promise me that you'll only just shit all over them right before you plug it?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it wasn't an ad. It was it's like an automated system that thought that a podcast was a person that could
And
get
they
an
emailed
online
us,
degree.
and Gabe owned them.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
saying now it's an ad.
True.
Now it's an ad.
Hey man, they got your degrees needs. I don't know.
They're the
I
degrees
don't even know
needs,
what they
baby.
do. Nick, you want to hit us with the synopses of these two movies?
Did you guys know that Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is about the most excellent of adventures ever had in the history of adventures? Bill is the son of a man that married a very young woman, and Ted is the son of a dickhead. Together, they fail history class and rock in their band, Wild Stallion, which is kind of spelled like Wild Stalin. So they should really...
Purposefully.
But it's like Stalin, like
Yeah.
Joseph Stalin, like
Yeah.
Koba.
Heavy metal.
Shout out.
Together, they are introduced by future George Carlin to the concept of time travel. Together, they set forth, set back, set backwards, set back and forth, something like that, to steal famous historical figures from different time periods and bring them to 1988 in order to ace a history final. With the help of Billy the Kid, Socrates, Genghis Khan, Joan of Arc, Beethoven, and Napoleon, they get an A+ on their final and score...
Beethoven?
Yeah, Beethoven. Dang it, I should have pronounced it that way.
all good.
They get an A+ on their final and score some most intimate time with the most righteous of princesses.
Bless you.
Ready for this? Back to the Future is the story of Marty McFly, a teenage rock star wannabe, overflowing with confidence but underflowing with shame for his loser parents, George and Lorraine. Marty's best friend is an aging scientist, inexplicably, named Doc Brown, who calls him to help with a late-night experiment. Lo and behold, Doc has made a time machine out of a DeLorean, and the surprise return of terrorists that Doc ripped off to supply the plutonium necessary for time travel sets the experiment off a bit. Marty accidentally sends himself back to 1955 on the day that Doc invented time travel, which coincidentally is also the day that Marty's parents met each other. Marty impedes his parents' introduction, which causes a time paradox threatening to disappear Marty forever, as his mother wants so desperately to bone her future son. Marty finds young Doc, that's a rap name, and convinces him to help Marty travel back to the future with the help of a lightning bolt destined to strike the clock tower at the end of the week. Marty spends his week scaring his dad into being a cool guy, skating our antagonist, the hulking and rapey Biff, into a shitload of manure, and dodging the thirsty advances of his own mother. At the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, George knocks Biff out, gets with Lorraine, and saves Marty from vanishing. Marty then writes Doc a letter explaining that he should wear protection the night that he invents time travel, lest he be riddled with terrorist bullets, and travels back to the future where he saves Doc's life and discovers he's made his parents into interesting people and made Biff into a little car-waxing bitch. But wait, Doc comes back and is now in a flight-capable DeLorean that takes Marty and his girlfriend to the future. Boom.
Where there aren't roads.
Nice. Dude, Riddled
there are
with
no
Terrorist
fucking
Bullets is a
roads.
great album name.
What'd you say?
Riddled with Terrorist Bullets is like a great album name.
Dude, that was fantastic.
Also, I
Thank
just
you.
got...
I thought
My
Young
servant
Doc
just
was
brought
a
me a
decent
Bloody
rap
Mary
moniker.
during this episode, so...
You have a
cheers.
servant?
Nick, I don't know if all your synopses bang like that, or if it's just because it was Back to the Future, but
Maybe you should
I enjoy
listen to
that.
them, dude.
Yeah.
I do.
They do all bang.
Okay.
They do
So
all
our
bang.
guest
I do
Blake has to
bang.
leave right now because he disrespected us, and we're going to do the rest of this episode on our own.
I do bang.
You should do.
You bang the way you move. You move.
What movie is it where they? Oh, Wayne's World. I was gonna say I should and disappear out.
Yeah. Nice, dude. Good reference.
Thanks, man.
Sick
Nice.
reference. All right, cool. Let's break down these two movies based on our categories. We use a rating scale for each of these categories that is 1 to 7. Blake, you're kind of new to this, so pay attention. But 1 is lowest, 7 is highest, and 4 is like average or neutral or in between. We're going to do 5 comedy categories because these are two super slapsticky comedies. And we're going to start with spectac, hilarity, then do acting, originality, legacy, and quotability / rewatchability. Let's start it off, Nicholas, with spectac, hilarity, Back to the Future. Explain what
7.
spectacularity is.
Spectacularity is a scientific formula. It's laughs per minute. It's essentially how engaged were you in the movie, and then as a little bit of a bonus for comedies, how consistently are you laughing at the film? Is there like one funny scene, or like are they all funny? And it's also it's a measure of like engagement and laughs per minute. And for that reason, I give Back to the Future is my favorite movie ever, and I give it a 7 because. I kind of wish we talked about Bill and Ted first because I think Bill and Ted is a funnier movie, but it's not as fun to watch because the plot is so simple.
Yeah.
But in Back to the Future, the plot's not simple. There's a lot at stake. There's a certain point where you think, oh, crap, is Marty going to get stuck in 1955
I actually
forever?
think it's simple. It's the ideas are complex, but the plot itself is kind of simple.
Bro, I think there's.
Yeah, but there are more pitfalls. There's
okay, I know what you mean now.
And really,
there's more time where there's more at stake, I guess is the question. There's a lot of
I gotta say, I think there's more at stake in Bill and Ted, dude. Even though I agree it's a better movie, but
Oh yeah, they are actually kind of the like rulers of.
yeah,
the
they're like the
Yeah, but they
whole
don't-
society is based on their music
but
and
they
them
don't
coming
but
together.
they don't know that. But they don't know
But
that
Rufus
the whole time.
does and tells.
They're just
them.
bumbling through the whole thing.
All right.
I think Back to the Future is super engaging. I mean, he could have been stuck in the 50s. His
Yeah.
car stalls out. There's that scene where you don't know if like George is gonna beat Biff up or like what's gonna happen. And then it's funny too, and the comedy ages well. Like it's genuinely funny later on.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I gave it a 7. If you didn't, Blake, you're a fool.
Like, what did you give it? Spectacularity.
I don't know if I should just ruin it now because I really did. I mean, I've never done this before with all the ratings. And Bill and Ted.
Don't ruin it.
I'm saying Bill and Ted, I think they'll reflect accurately. But like Nick was saying, I was just going to say I have 7s all the way down for every category in Back to the Future.
Well, God damn it! I just said don't ruin it.
Well, Big, you guys can do your reveals, but big surprise from Blake.
All right, Blake is cut off for this.
No,
episode.
I'll explain why. I'd be happy to talk on all of them, but
Yeah, well, explain a little bit about Back to the Future.
You better be happy to talk on all of them. You're
actually,
on our
I don't really
podcast.
want to talk about Back to the Future today, guys. Sorry. All right, spectacularity.
This is a mess.
All right, this is what I wrote. Okay, I have a couple lines that... So throughout the movie, I think Christopher Lloyd is really bringing the comedy, and Marty McFly is, like, reacting a lot. Even if it doesn't mean to be comedic, The first line I have written down, and Nick, I know we've talked about this before, but why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? That line always gets me. I've seen the movie 100 times, and I still laugh at Marty keeps saying heavy, and he's just like, why do you keep saying heavy? And like, I don't know. Those little...
As they walk into the school, he says heavy, and he's like, heavy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because it's like a form of humor that is just basically like, it's almost like Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy, where you're just taking things too literally when they say them.
Exactly.
And so I'd love that they do that comedically with the elements of like it being a separation in time, like 80s versus 50s. They kind of like perfectly nail that.
Yeah, and
Keep going.
on that with the 80s versus 50s, when Marty dresses up as Darth Vader from planet Vulcan, all of those just kept making me chuckle and laugh, like the little, like, that's so dumb, he's just doing Star Wars, but George McFly has no idea. Ha ha ha.
What an idiot.
What an idiot. And then the Earth Angel disappearing guitar scene into Johnny Be Good, I had so entertaining. When I was little, I wanted to rip like Marty. And he has like Marvin Berry on the phone, being Chuck Berry's cousin. He's like,
it's your cousin, Chuck.
Marvin Berry.
Marvin.
So yeah, I'm jumping around from like quotes and other things, but
yeah, you're ruining basically our whole structure.
Okay, I'm gonna finish my spectacularity on set design comment. I just thought they did that super well too. Going from like their house in the 1980s and everything's kind of average. It's not like a shithole, but it's like you can tell the difference from the house in the beginning to the end, and like those little key details. Yeah, and just like set design,
suburban depressing,
are awesome.
No, that's a good point, because we normally have a category called eye candy, and I didn't really think it applied too much because these movies are both kind of outdated in certain ways, especially Bill and Ted. But I think that's a good point. I thought the set design kind of makes it like fun, like an interactive experience that you're into the movie. So, you know, I don't really want to like piss you guys off, but I gave it a 7 out of 7 because it is very engaging all the way through. I think it's perfectly balanced in terms of enjoyment and humor. I don't think it's like what we normally would call like laugh out loud humor, but it is like you constantly have a smile during this whole movie. I think especially any scene with Christopher Lloyd and Thomas F. Wilson. I mean, I'm obsessed with Biff. I think Biff is one of the funniest characters of all time, and he's so cool. And anytime they're on screen, it's great. But then you have Marty, who's so like, he's supposed to be like the cool kid at the school, but he's also like perfectly clumsy in every scene. And I think that really works for a character that like draws you in for the whole movie, but also is just like falling apart like an idiot.
He's a slacker, dude.
Yeah, I especially love the inappropriate stuff in it. Like all the scenes with Lorraine and him are really good, and I think that it ages really well in that way. Yeah, in terms of the engagement.
The scene in the car between Marty and Lorraine is a masterclass in awkward acting.
Oh, I love it. It's so good. So yeah, I mean, there's not. It's really kind of like self-explanatory. It's just a good comedy, and it's really engaging all the way through.
It's beautiful.
So 7s from all three of us. What about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
What did you give it?
I gave it a 5 out of 7. I think it's slightly above average. I think it's like, here. First of all, and I know you were going to talk about this, Nick. The breakaway song at the beginning is fucking sick.
It's also, fire emoji. It's fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji, 100 emoji. Thumbs up emoji, rock and roll emoji.
Every song in this, I think a lot of the songs were made for the movie, and I think kind of like Back to the Future, and I love the score or the soundtrack, and it perfectly dates the movie. I love when a movie makes you feel like you're at that time and doesn't feel like outdated, you know?
Yeah.
And they even bring humor into it whenever they do like like when they do like the little guitar
Yeah,
thing
that's
to
great.
each other.
I love that.
I love that. I actually kind of almost cried during the scene where they go to the future and the whole society is there and that song is playing, the Dancing in the Streets All Night or whatever, and they're all doing the thing and like it's just like a beautiful
You
scene.
almost
It's
cried?
a very tender moment.
You almost
Dude,
cried?
I actually felt emotional during that scene. It's so good.
Dude, what?
I love the way that they talk.
When's
like,
the last time you went outside, man? You have a
It's
balcony.
been a while, dude.
Go outside. Go sit outside for a while. Take some fresh air in.
I love the humor of it in terms of like the language, like the way that they talk is fucking hilarious. Like the definitely most heinous or like
Oh, dude, most tranquil is.
it's an 80s
100%
movie
what
and there's
I'm
a
saying.
69 joke in there, and I fucking love 69 jokes, so that was great.
Nice.
All the jokes about the stepmom being hot, Missy, are hilarious. Like,
Yeah, they're pretty good.
super funny. But what I would have to say is like what makes this movie funny, like above average. Any scene with Napoleon. Napoleon is like one of
He's crushing it.
Dude, he's incredible. The Ziggy Piggy.
I'm gonna give you because he's not my sixth man, but he was runner up for my sixth man. So
Oh,
we'll talk
interesting.
about that when we get there. But I agree, Napoleon was so fucking funny in that movie.
I wonder what you guys think in terms of like the engagement and comedy of it.
I ended up giving it a 4.
I knew it. I knew
but
you were a hater, dude.
I wrote down a 5, but then I changed it because I personally think the score is weird. I
Whoa.
love that first song, but I don't like that it goes between, like, I don't know, like, what they were trying to do, if it was, like, a juxtaposition thing or what, but they go from, like, oh, that's an 80s song, and then it's, like, score, like, actual score to a movie.
Yeah.
And then it's, like, back to, like, a weird 80s song, and then back to a score for a movie. It's not like they blended the two. At least to me, that's what it was. And honestly, I think the plot is really insanely simple. It's basically like two idiots go back in time, steal a bunch of people, bring them back, and try and get an A.
But there's the side plot that they are actually like important to this like future species of human.
But how are they important to them?
Which you don't find
fucking
out.
know, Nick. Just watch the movie.
That's why it's
It's
like
because
not,
their music is the foundation of society or something.
Dude, you're a hater.
But what does them going back in time have to do with their music? They were already making.
No, this is a great
they
point.
would've
I
been-
actually have no idea.
They would have been split up. He would have had to go to military school, and they wouldn't have made music if he didn't pass his
that's
report.
right.
He was going to have to go to military school in Alaska.
Oh,
That's right. The
Okay, I'll
like
give it a
high
5
judge
then.
or whatever, the judge person is like they are about to split up or whatever. The time is coming for the
Okay.
I'm
split.
happy you guys
missed that, I guess.
All right, so a 5 and a
I'm gonna give it a 5. I gave it a 4
Whoa,
slash
don't let
5.
me bully you into that.
I'm gonna go to 5 because I genuinely really enjoy it, and like I didn't give it low ratings. I just kind of gave it more points in another category in lieu of this one
okay.
because I thought the plot was
in
like
Waterloo.
meh in Waterloo of this one. Yeah, I don't know. It's a most decent movie.
This is
What about you, Ziggy Piggy?
This is I don't know. I feel like it's a good thing, but I had like a 5 last night and I was teetering, and then I went to a 4. Now after this conversation again, I'm still.
Oh, you mean just like me, the person you ridiculed for doing that?
exactly
before?
But I'm
Solid.
But at least I'm like, I know how you guys are doing the categories, and I feel like I'm doing it kind of right. Can I just give it a 4.5?
yeah.
4.5
did halves.
for.
You know what I wish you guys were in the room because I laughed really hard at it and it's a super subtle moment. But the part when Keanu Reeves like acts like he's dead in the knight's costume or whatever and then knocks the guy in the head, he like just gets up and goes and like throws his hands up and it's fucking hilarious. Every
I
scene with
laughed at that,
Napoleon, like some of the stuff between them, all the scenes about Missy, and then Genghis Khan in the bat section of a sports store
yeah.
is like iconic.
I have some questions about that scene, but genuinely love
I know.
it.
I feel like I'm saving stuff for acting, but just,
all right, I think that's our next category.
But in
yeah?
We can move
really
on.
quick and spectacularity, all the like just little one-liner reactions between Bill and Ted, like when they get thrown down the old Western bar and their heads go through the wall, and then they're looking at like a room of prostitutes. Keanu Reeves just has like a whoa, like one of his whoas, and I was just like, what the fuck is happening?
I love it. I think it's like a sillier, dumber movie. It's like I'll kind of get into that in originality. But I do want to point out one thing in terms of like engagement level. This is like a really good use of budget. It was only a $10 million budget. And at the time, like that was really hard to make things look great. And while the CGI stuff is kind of stupid when they're traveling, it's kind of like appropriately stupid. But the set design is fucking crazy for $10 million. And the amount of actors that they had on it.
The Billy the Kid scene is not my favorite. Are we doing acting now?
Yeah, let's do acting. So acting is where we talk about the performances and sort of like whether the writers and directors gave them the tools that they needed. What's up, Nick?
Exactly. Billy the Kid's terrible.
So bad.
I actually think Billy the Kid is amazing.
Oh, dude, horrible. I think he is awful. The worst actor in the whole thing. Dude, he has a line where he goes, "What?" Just like he's literally like a 7-year-old child auditioning.
Wow, I didn't even catch that.
An elementary school.
Yeah, no.
It's as if
he's bad.
It's as if they didn't do any other takes, and they just were like, "Say what in the most unbelievably wooden way you can," and he went, "What?" Dude, it's so bad.
That kind of sucks because all the other people historically are like really funny.
Socrates is great. Napoleon is the best.
Socrates is the best.
Socrates is great. Bill and Ted are both funny. George Carlin's not a good actor, but I love George Carlin.
I kind of felt like it was a waste of George Carlin. Like,
a bit,
he could have been
for
funnier.
sure.
At the time, he was the biggest stand-up comedian outside of like
and
Eddie
he
Murphy.
just kind of gives like weird, like broken fourth wall looks at the audience, and that's pretty much it.
Do you guys do the like MVP, LVP stuff all at the end? You don't bring it into acting?
Fool. Listen to our podcast.
Blake, just listen.
Well, I feel like it's topical with all the people we're talking about right now, but I will wait on it.
Yeah, we tried that. It doesn't work as well.
Okay.
Suspend.
Keanu Reeves is amazing. Him coming back for that sequel that's supposed to come out in the next like year is going to be like hilarious.
It's
to watch.
what a weird career.
What a weird career.
It's fascinating.
So I gave it a 5 in acting. It would have been higher if not for Billy the Kid and George Carlin. Yeah.
I mean, I gave it a 5 as well, and I didn't feel like anyone really tanked it like you said, but I didn't feel like it was like the best comedic acting, even though I think Alex Winter and Keanu are great. I actually think Alex Winter is the better actor in it.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of surprised that his career didn't blow up. I think it's just because his face didn't stay as perfect as Keanu as he got older. And Keanu's just the sweetest person in the world. They're just like perfectly idiotic, and I love that. But I only think this era of Keanu, I only think about Chris D'Elia's like Keanu stand-up when he's like, "Whoa, are you okay?" And I love watching it. Napoleon is amazing. That the guy who plays him, Terry Calamari, is like he kills it.
Calamari,
Genghis
God,
Khan.
I would kill for some calamari right now.
Me too. You know what? I just love all. I mean, I guess I won't count Billy the Kid, but I just think all the historical people are really fun, and I think like Socrates is funny, and Genghis Khan is funny.
Yeah.
Even Abraham Lincoln and Sigmund Freud are like funny.
Oh, I forgot about Freud and Lincoln.
Joan of Arc's a babe. What?
Yeah, Joan of Arc is pretty hot. I'll get into some problems with that later. It's kind of crazy that some of those actors were only like in this movie, or if you go on IMDb, they're most well known for this movie, and it's just one impersonation they did. But anyways, I gave it a 5. What about you, Blake?
For acting on Bill and Ted, I have a 4 next to that category. So
I think that's fair for this.
So
I almost gave it a 4.
I put that Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves are really believable teenage stoners, but I think that Keanu did a way better job. You were just saying that you thought Alex killed it, but the whole time I was watching it, I was like, I understand why Keanu Reeves had a career and Alex Winter didn't. But I
think it's Alex Winter's face that I really enjoy in this one. It's like the sideways look he does.
His face, I think, is why he got casted, because he is a unique looking dude, and I feel like they were just like, yeah, that guy will look weird next to
He's
Keanu
got to be
Reeves.
much different looking
and, like,
than Keanu Reeves.
Exactly. And so like with their back and forth, I just kept going back to I thought Keanu Reeves was like selling it, and I was like, yeah, he's a dumb stoner. And then Alex Winter, I was like, he's acting like a dumb stoner. But
okay, fair.
When they're debating whether they should go with Rufus in the beginning, Bill should be way more animated while convincing Ted, but he just says, we've seen some crazy stuff, but like never this, let's go. And I'm like, bro, if a telephone just popped up in the fucking Circle K parking lot, like act a little bit. Don't just be like, whoa, all right, I guess, cool. And then
strange things are afoot at the Circle K though.
Yeah, dude, one of the best lines. I love that.
I also have that I love Terry Calamari. Every scene with him, was wonderful.
A little lemon pepper calamari right now.
Dude, if I could just dip it in my bloody right now.
And then
your Bloody Mary.
That's pretty much it. I was gonna say I'll touch more on this later when we get there, but couldn't agree with Nick more about George Carlin and Billy the Kid, and one of those is my LVP. Sorry to say.
Wow.
Nailed it.
I don't even know who it's going to be.
Who is it going to be? Do you know?
I gave Back to the Future, to transition into that one, a hard 7. There is not a bad performance in Back to the Future. Mm-hmm. I tried to find one. I really tried, and I just don't think that it's there. Outside of a couple wooden lines from some characters, like I'm thinking Lorraine's family is
like an airplane without any wings.
Yeah, that's not a great scene. The lone, what's his name? Old man
Peabody, dude.
Old man Peabody.
And his hybrid furs, dude. Yeah.
There's not a bad actor. Even some of the minor characters are like amazing. Like Goldie Wilson is fantastic in every scene he's in.
Mayor. I'm going to be mayor.
Biff's goons are great. All the other McFlys and whatever Lorraine's maiden name is are really good. Like the little kid that's like Lorraine's little brother.
What's a rerun?
Oh, he's a good actor. I think he was in a lot of stuff.
What's a rerun?
Yeah.
This came out today.
He plays Fred Savage's older brother in the Wonder Years, I think.
Oh, really? Dude, he's condescending as hell. I hope he's in that too.
He's a good older brother character.
The directing and writing are literally perfect in this movie, and they're iconic. You just can't.
Robert Zemeckis killed it.
It's amazing.
Who's the writer?
That's the legacy of this movie.
Fucking Gale.
Yeah.
For the fucking win. Sorry.
Yeah, Blake, go ahead. I'm sure you gave it a 7 as well, as we already
Yeah, I did.
You told us that already.
Bob Gale wrote the shit out of this movie. Got the idea looking at his dad's high school yearbook and wondering if they'd be friends. I always thought when I found that out that was just such like a unique way to start writing this. Yeah, he was just like looking at his dad. Like we've all looked at our parents' yearbooks and he was just like, what was my dad like? And then you go through that like...
I haven't.
And then The Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News just started playing in his head. And then it just went in his head.
He just knew. But
I wonder if my dad and I would be friends. Dun, 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 dun. Just like that.
So, but yeah, no. Amazing stuff. Bob Gale did a great job. Marty and Doc, when the DeLorean first time travels, Doc is super pumped. Oh, yeah. Basically... Okay, so Bill and Ted, I thought that they had some good chemistry, but like I said, I thought Keanu was better. I thought that Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd and all their scenes together were like, it's just perfect. Like the way Christopher Lloyd like reacts and like says all his lines, and then Marty just reacting to him and everything that's happening. But when they first time travel in the beginning, Doc Brown just is freaking out, and when the DeLorean disappears, he's like, "What did I tell you? 88 miles per hour."
Yeah,
and Marty,
I love that scene.
He's losing his mind, and Marty is just like so good at being like shocked and disbelief. And like I was paying super close attention last night, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like that's pretty much what you would do if your old scientist friend just made it.
It's that GIF I sent you earlier, Gabe.
Yeah.
That's his reaction,
that's right.
He's like, huh? What?
And then, yeah, what you were saying, one of you were saying how Marty is really good at being cool, but at the same time, like, clumsy and loserish. Yeah. And, like...
Yeah, he's not, like, the cool kid at the school. He's
like
cool.
the cool, kind of, like, outcast kid at the school.
He's
but
like
he's also...
almost like a loner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has just, like, a couple hard... I love when he's driving away from the Libyan terrorists, and he goes, "Let's see if you bastards can do 90," and then just, like, drops it and... goes into the Back to the Future.
Just dropped.
Yeah.
Just drops it. As I said that, I was like, I don't know what he's dropping, dude, but he fucking drops it.
He drops it, dude. He's straight up.
I
in the
almost
clutch,
said
dude.
that, but I don't know a lot about cars. I didn't know if it applied.
Yeah, step up.
Anyways, he drops the gas into the engine with his
There you go.
fucking foot.
Not how it works.
Just to wrap that up, Leah Thompson, also amazing job.
I love Leah Thompson.
When Marty gets hit by the car in the beginning and her like young self is introduced and she's like, your pants are on my hope chest, and she's just like,
Oh, yeah.
so thirsty.
That's your name,
and
isn't
good.
it?
Yeah.
Calvin.
No,
Calvin Klein. It's written all over your underwear.
I feel like all the actors in this movie just have really believable performances. Like she seems like, thirsty 17-year-old that wants that kid to sleep over in her bed. But yeah, and then Thomas F. Wilson, this Biff, is
He's amazing in it.
Yeah.
All right, so listen. Okay, I need to remind you what these categories mean before you yell at me. 4 is average. 5 is slightly above average. 6 is well above average, and 7 is like amazing or great. I'm giving it a 6 out of 7. Well above average. Do not shoot me. I think it's great. I think it's like most 80s comedies or just 80s movies in general aren't known for their acting. And I would never hold that against a movie from that time. But I think this is well above 80s comedies, as we saw with Bill and Ted.
sure.
And I think that especially, Christopher Lloyd, Thomas F. Wilson, and Michael J. Fox. I mean, this is the best Michael J. Fox performance. Maybe Back to the Future 2 is a little bit better because he gets to play his like older self in that, and he's so great in that.
And
in that
his
movie.
And his daughter and his son.
Have you guys
yeah,
seen
true.
Teen Wolf?
And it's like easily beats Teen Wolf. But here's the thing. So don't get me wrong. I love Crispin Glover. I do not think he's a good actor in this movie. Like a lot of the
Dude, I
lines
had
that he
a
delivers, I
newfound-
don't think are believable.
I had a
think that
newfound
he's
respect for
acting.
him in this.
No, I honestly think that it's like more acting than naturally being that character. I don't know why. In some scenes, I don't think that, but there are like certain scenes that I don't think
It
he's
is
that great.
it is an over the top character.
I will tell you, Old Man Peabody, that is a horrible performance. It's hilarious, but it is like, holy shit, you could not have gotten a worse actor.
He's
in
very
this scene.
clownish.
Yeah, I do kind of wish that there was one slapstick character in this, and I feel like
Doc
it's
Brown.
Yeah, but he's not really like slapsticky. He's funny. He's not like
Have you seen his hair?
I guess George is kind of slapsticky.
George is very slapsticky.
Yeah, okay,
Dude,
maybe I
The
keep
whole
that, but-
like Biff running into a manure truck and all the manure falling into his. That's total slapstick.
Yeah, no, there's slapstick humor in it. I wish there was like one fucking super goofy character, and I guess that is like a combination of George and Doc Brown. But I love all the side performances. I mean, I love that you mentioned Goldie Wilson is great. I think Lorraine's dad is amazing. He's so funny in that scene. The brother is also like good, but the dad is so like angry for no reason, and I love
Who the
that.
hell is
That's,
John
like,
F.
such
Kennedy?
a suburban dad. Yeah. Who the hell is John F. Kennedy? I will knock it down a peg for one reason. Horrible misuse of Billy Zane. One of the best actors that's ever graced this earth. Okay? You should listen to your friend Billy Zane. He's a pretty cool guy. Okay,
He
anyways.
nailed that
I'm giving it
henchman
a 6.
number 4.
I think he has the face for it. I'm just knocking it down on like a peg. I don't think it's like like the
I get it.
best
I'm not
comedic
upset at you.
acting. What?
I don't. I mean, yeah.
Hey, fuck you.
It holds a special
All right,
place
you guys-
in my heart.
Let's move on to another category.
really
though.
quick.
Let's do what?
Crispin Glover, I read, got so nervous while filming this movie that he lost his voice and they had to redub his lines over him just like mouthing the words. And as I was watching it, I was like,
kind of.
Yeah,
this is
he's
fucking
mentally
nuts.
unwell.
Yeah, dude is insane.
Dude,
but
do you know about the whole lawsuit from the second movie?
I know he like didn't want to do it and they had
Well,
another
no,
actor.
he wasn't in the movie,
Yeah.
and then they decided to use his prosthesis and put it on someone else and put him in the movie, and he's like, "You fucking can't do that because that's not
Yeah,
me."
it's a whole thing.
And it's actually he like set precedent in the court for that kind of it's like a IP case.
It also, I don't know that I knew that.
Kind of an asshole about it.
I knew that happened. I don't know the ins and outs of like why he didn't want to, but I disagree. I really think he fucking nailed it in this movie. I thought he was such a good George McFly.
No, I love him in it. I don't think it's that good of acting.
I mean, I don't know.
I understand.
That's
all right. Well, let's move on to our next category. Our next
caricature.
category is originality, where we talk about like if the movie was creative, did it need to be made? Does it stand out in the genre? I'll just very quickly say 7. I mean, there's no way you could be less than a 7 for Back to the Future. It's one of the most.
You just can't do it. It's
one of the most
original movies of
insanely
all time.
creative in its language, its story, its themes. I mean, it even makes fun of itself. Like, it's great.
Yeah, and it's so like the reason why I wanted to use this category to talk about why this is my favorite movie, and it's because when I watched it as a kid with my dad, I was like, I had to have been like 10 or less years of age, and it was like seeing God for the first time. It was so rich. It was just like so different than anything else that I'd seen. And like the fact that my dad was just like glued into it too. And like, I feel like he hadn't seen it in a really long time. It was one of his favorite movies. And I could tell that he also held it on this like pedestal of like, this is such a unique movie. Then I just had that same feeling, and then it just stuck. I can rewatch it a million times.
It's so sad that now his like movie tastes are just so bad.
My dad?
Yeah.
Oh, just because he doesn't stay awake for hardly any movies.
Yeah.
He stayed awake for Back to the Future, to the best of my recollection, but he doesn't even stay awake. He watches movies that are exciting so that when he is awake, it's like, whoa, and then he falls back asleep.
This
That's
is
his thing.
legacy, right?
That is a cute story, though.
No, this is originality, dude.
Originality. Okay, well,
Like, why is this your favorite movie, Blake?
so it was kind of similar to what you were just saying, but I didn't know if that was a legacy topic. I was going to say, though, the first time I saw this movie, I went to the video store in Palm Desert, Video Depot, shout out, hasn't been there for a very
right
long time.
next to the Orange Julius?
Orange
Did you get Orange Julius?
and the Togo's Sandwiches, where I eventually worked in high school.
Oh, yeah, you worked there.
So I rented 1, 2, and 3 on a Saturday. I feel like I came home sometime that morning, like 10 a.m., and I had a TV in my room. And I think my dad or somebody was just like, oh yeah, Back to the Future, whatever, they're good movies. Go, you'll like it, whatever. So I'd heard of it, but I didn't really know. And I remember I sat in my room in the dark from like 10 a.m. and watched all 3. And my life was changed that day forever. I was literally just sucked into a hole of And I remember like walking out of my room just like, it's so good. Nothing's ever going to be that good. And like, yeah, so hooked from a young lad.
I actually did not know that story. That's great. So you gave it a 7?
7.
Oh, wait, I already know that. You spoiled all of your ratings at the beginning.
And because we're in originality, the way we've been doing this, you guys kind of hop back and forth, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sort of.
Can I just go on a quick little originality rant between Back to the Future and Bill and Ted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
go
think
ahead.
we're done talking about Back to the Future, in fact. Right? Gabe, did you have anything else
Yeah,
to add?
I mean, no. It's just an incredibly original movie. It needed to be made. It's this awesome, like, original IP that will never be remade because Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis are G's,
exactly.
and they put that into the contract. And so I love it. It's like... It's almost like sacred text at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
My note for Back to the Future originality is when they wrote this, Bob Gale and Zemeckis, they kept getting turned down by studios because studios didn't want to make a time travel incest film. And I'm like, if that doesn't tell you how fucking original this movie is right there, then I don't know what does. But okay, so that was the one Back to the Future originality note because it's super original. So there you go. Okay, Bill and Ted, let me start picking apart this originality really quickly. Sorry, I was lost in my own note here, guys.
Are you going to say it's not original? Because I don't think it's original. I gave it a 3.
All right.
Oh, God. This is going to be so fun. I'm so excited for this.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm knocking mine down because I have it way too high. I'm going to land on like a 4, but really quick, here's my points. Bill and Ted was made after Back to the Future, right? I should have looked that up first, but...
Yeah, okay. 3 years after.
3 years after.
4 years.
Listen to this. They both blow out amps in the beginning scene, and then a clock goes off, and they go, "I'm late for school." That happens. In the original script of Bill and Ted, it was a 1969 Chevy van. Filmmakers thought that was too similar to Back to the Future, so they changed it to a telephone booth. And Bill and Ted, they want Van...
Well, no, then they're trying not to do that. They're trying not to unintentionally copy that movie.
But it's because they're already like, oh, we're already like making the same movie. Let's change this little detail. Yeah, and then Bill and Ted want Van Halen in the band. Marty plays Van Halen for George when he's pretending to be Darth Vader.
Oh, stretch.
And then he goes,
move on.
Deputy Van Halen down at the station when he's distracting Ted's dad. In both movies, they think they watch their best friend die.
Like Van Halen, wow.
But they don't. Which also, my acting for Alex Winter in there, when he thinks that Ted just got stabbed in the chest, he just goes, "Ted, don't be dead, dude." And I'm like,
that's great, though.
No, I actually thought that was great. He was initially really sad, and then he says that. Like, that's how that character would be.
I think Marty watching Doc Brown get his chest pumped full of lead is a much more, like, no, bastards! Like, I don't know. I was feeling it.
They're very similar. Both have time-themed songs and time travel in general. I just don't think it's original because it's like, oh, I'm going to go back in time and visit all of the history people and then I'm gonna get them. But the futuristic element, I think, is funny and kind of original. I just think it's, like, not as big a part of the plot. It's like if you had to pick an original idea, going back and accidentally going back to when your parents were little, just like you, is more original idea than going back and, like, being like, oh, I'm Napoleon. I met Genghis Khan and he's really good at baseball.
I think it's more unfortunate that they came out in the same decade.
For sure.
No
I'm not
movie
knocking
had
it
ever...
for that. I'm knocking it because I think the idea of traveling back in time and being like, that's Napoleon, that's Billy the Kid. Yeah. Is not an original idea. That's what everyone would do.
For me, I think that's fucking hilarious. Like, they are
hilarious.
They are about
yes,
to
original
fail a class, and so all they do is just, like, steal people from history without any, like, knowledge of what the repercussions of stealing someone of those of that magnitude would be in the past. I also think it's like,
yes, original.
Dude,
no.
I think it's really original. I think I'd never seen a movie like that. It's hilariously so stupid and crazy in its concept. And it's like, Back to the Future is a smarter movie, for sure. I would give, like, I'm giving Back to the Future a 7 because it's like, it's actually a pretty good time travel movie. Does the time travel add up? No. It's pretty fucking stupid in terms of, like, scientifically. It's no dark on Netflix. It's
all very complicated.
But it's all very scientific.
Bill and Ted is original in, like, that. Yeah, there's never been that quiet, like, two stoners have to go back for a history project because their music is, like, foundation of society. That's original, but...
Think about that line you just said. That's crazy original.
But where it's not original is I don't think it would have existed if Back to the Future wasn't made 3 years before it. I think it would have been a completely different, weird, or maybe not even made at all.
I don't even think they are at all similar except for the fact that they literally go back in time.
They do both open with guitar scenes.
Yeah, okay. The guitar scene is the only one I would knock it, although I think it is the dumbest. Oh, I forgot to... Oh, actually, you know what? I'll save that for the end. But I do think it's a magical blend of, like, 80s high school movies. Like, I think that they're perfectly making fun of certain 80s high school movies because there are...
For sure.
Nick and I did an episode on that with movies that molded me. And, like, there are so many 80s teen comedies or whatever, and... It's kind of funny that Bill and Ted is almost like blending all those together while kind of making fun of it.
My last original note on that connection was Bill's stepmom Misty is supposed to be a babe. Another weird incest mom-son connection. Oedipal complex joke during presentation at the end.
Okay, but I love that Oedipal. That was a funny moment when they made that joke because then it, like, the camera zooms in on her and she's like, what?
Yeah.
And everyone's looking at her. I will say, I wrote down that this movie is essentially if Back to the Future got hit in the head, but also was purposely supposed to be less smart and it had, like, a way lower budget. I mean, it had, like, a $10 million budget. Back to the Future was, like, what, 80 to 100 million? It was
I didn't see. That's usually you.
Should
I look it up?
I have to say, what a fucking nightmare it must have been to have to do that presentation at that school. What a fucked up. This is just a side note. That sucks.
So yeah, San Dimas High School football rules. What's our next category?
Oh my God. You know what's really funny is, and I just want to point this out because I hope you guys notice, there's that one like big jock in the crowd at the high school, this like fat jock in a tank top who like every time something happens, they're like eating that like pudding or whatever. And he's like, yes, yeah, bro. And like clap it.
I was like, why is that guy eating?
Dude, everyone's eating in it, and then he's like, every time something happens, he's like fucking high-fiving people as if he's part of the presentation. I don't know what that doesn't go into originality. I don't
know, dude, but San Dimas High School football rules.
I'll say this. A lot of newer, like, stupid comedies are made, like, especially, like, stoner comedies, and I don't think they're as creatively, like, simple as this, and they don't work like this. And so I appreciate this one for being one of the OG ones. I give it a 6.
In originality, I gave it a 3, and Blake gave it a 4.
Seen something like that.
Fair enough. By the way, you're wrong. Back to the Future has a $19 million budget.
Oh, really? Damn,
Yeah.
that's low. It made it made so much money.
It made so much money.
Yeah. Okay, wait. So let's move on then to Legacy.
Yeah.
I don't know how your editing works, but my shit, I noticed it stop, and then I started recording a new one. So somewhere in that rant of originality, Gabe's gonna have to do some editing.
Oh my God, I hate you so much. All right, I'll figure it out.
And you have the Zoom
can
audio
you just get
too,
GarageBand? Don't you have a Mac?
Yeah, dude, but I don't know. I never used GarageBand.
Oh, you had it this whole time. I hate you. All right, anyways, let's move on though. Let's do Legacy. Let's like quickly start with Bill and Ted, because there will be a lot to be said on Back to the Future. But Legacy is kind of where we talk about like how this movie will be talked about, how this movie has been talked about. Does it stand out in the history of movies? What is its lasting legacy? How did people react to it?
I mean, Bill and Ted has 2 sequels. One isn't out yet. Endless quotes.
I mean,
Keanu Reeves is a legend, and this is the birth of a legend.
Yeah.
He's not even a man. He's just a god, a shining golden god. Bill and Ted has a ton of legacy, and it's really well liked. Like, it has good ratings. People really like it. So I gave it a 6.
Yeah.
I'm
right there with you, Nick.
I can't wait for that sequel. It's going to be so dumb and great.
I'm excited. I mean, it's kind of like that has to mean a lot that they're making a sequel right now, like in 2020 about this. I mean, I think it was like crowdfunded, but really? I think that Keanu Reeves as like a stoner Cali boy, even though he's Canadian, like as a stoner Cali boy has like kind of lived on more than this movie. Like just that character of Keanu. People still think he's this like bumbling surfer idiot. And, I would say that most people have seen this movie, but I was a little bit alarmed yesterday when I did a Zoom call with Danny's family, and almost none of them had seen it. And I was like, what? Like, they were all, like, her brothers are both, you know, I think her brother's like 29 and then one's like 33 or something. And like most of the people like knew of it, but they hadn't really seen it. And I think that's fucking crazy. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the critics are great. I think it's kind of low on IMDb, like user rating. I think people are missing the point of this being supposed to being stupid.
Yeah, they might be seeing it as trying to be serious when it's actually just a stupid movie for stupid people, and it's great.
Yeah, I think it was like a cult comedy hit.
Yeah,
by the way,
definitely.
I think because it made $40 million, which isn't bad. You know, it made back its budget, but like it's $10 million budget. But I think it was more of like a sleeper hit afterwards. I think the only thing that's painfully outdated in this movie, so in Legacy, especially when we're talking about comedies, Blake, we kind of talk about like how well has it aged, like, you know, socially and in terms of humor. I think there's like a few things that kind of don't work. You know, the phone booths don't exist anymore. And then the other one is like, I think this movie's kind of fucking sexist. Like, and by kind of fucking sexist, I mean it's really sexist. Like the slutty stepmom who's around their age is like the main female character in it. Joan of Arc, they have be an aerobics instructor.
Yeah, why is she? I wrote that too. Why is she an aerobics instructor?
Joan of Arc is one of the most famous warriors, and she is known as this symbol of feminine leadership at a time when people wouldn't allow that. She was literally burned at the stake for being a witch because she saved her country, and she was 16.
She acts the actress acts like
a bimbo.
She just acts like I can't. There's this parallel on the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of it. But she acts as if she's an alien. Yeah, and granted, they kind of sort of all do that, but hers is way over the top, and it's like, dude, why are you? What? She acts really stupid, and she's an alien, and it's really strange. And then she's a jazzercise person. It's
what's another moment is when they bring back the babes from England, and the babes are first of all, they call them the babes, then they come back from England, and they're like, yeah, we went to a place called the Mall, and we had credit cards. I'm like, dude, this is not okay.
I know. I was also thinking they were supposed. He's like, I saved them from marrying those royal ugly dudes, and they're all thankful, but it's like, oh, now their future is to just be with these two men. And it's like, are these girls ever going to have their own future?
Right. They don't even exist in this world. Yeah, but what did you think in terms of its legacy?
I wrote a 4. I'm thinking about bumping it up to a 5 because I agree that, I mean, yeah, this is an iconic movie, and I think that my issue where I gave it a 4 is because I was really kept comparing it to Back to the Future, and I'm just I feel like Back to the Future is just leaps and bounds better. But if I'm looking at it on its own, probably a 5 for legacy. Yeah. But
that's a most appropriate score.
Time travel. The first note I have in here for legacy, because the note you gave me on it, Gabe, was quality and content. Has it aged well?
Yeah.
But time travel circuits are the worst CGI I've.
Yeah, it's
even I wrote
poorly.
But even for the time, I was even at this time, couldn't they have figured out a better way to do those time travel
I don't really know, because they almost had to make it CGI in the way that it flies and stuff. Back to the Future doesn't use as much CGI in some.
Yeah, it goes for a minimalist approach on purpose to bypass that problem that you're talking about. But it's because it's not supposed to be a silly movie. Bill and Ted is a silly movie.
Yeah, but it's that's you kind of have to suspend your disbelief in what it was like at that time,
right,
and how they did that.
I wrote that I appreciated the aesthetic because of nostalgia. Because it reminds me of almost weird science, or just those weird horrible CGI science fiction movies. Yeah, 80s
and you can
movies.
tell it was shot on film too. You see the grainy film quality of it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I put, why wouldn't Rufus go with them towards the beginning? There, he gives them the time machine, and then he's like, all right, do your project. And they're like, wait, you're not coming with us? He's like, nope, you're on your own, and just leaves. But he doesn't explain. I'm like, wait, you'd go through all this trouble?
I think they had to follow a specific path.
You are overthinking a goofy movie.
Well, yeah. I'm saying quality and content, though, dude. That's huge plot hole right there. Have the future guy lead you through all this shit. Why? I was talking more about
has the does it age poorly in terms of how it looks, and then does it age poorly in terms of its comedy? Does it make you cringe?
Okay, last note on this then, very applicable for cringeworthy. Right after Bill finds out that Ted's still alive in the castle, and he saves him and picks him up, they hug and have a moment, and then they both push each other away and go, fag. And I was like,
yeah,
whoops, that's a pre-2020 line right there.
That's a good one to bring up.
Yeah, that was the most one where I was just like, oh, that didn't age well. But other than that, they're pretty, and for the time, I get it at the time. I don't know. I'm not justifying it all, because that is wrong. But yeah, there is your example of not aging well for the movie.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I do think some of the humor kind of ages poorly. All right, well, so are you going to stick with a 5 or 4?
I'm going to go 5. It's iconic. I'm going to go 5.
A 5, a 6.
So that's 6s from Nick and I, and 5 from Blake. All right, let's do legacy for Back to the Future. Very easy. This is going to be a 7.
Easy 7, yeah. And it ages so incredibly well, like I said before. Even now, it doesn't even really seem like a movie that came out in 1985. It seems like it could have come out more recently. It doesn't have the same, like, 80s campiness that other movies have. I don't know if you guys noticed something about that, but it's not.
It doesn't at all.
I don't think it does at all.
I mentioned this. Nick and I did, like, an episode before we figured out what our podcast was going to be. We did these, like, early episodes where we talked about our favorite movies. I did Fight Club, and he did Back to the Future. And when we talked about that, your point right now, Nick, is like something that we brought up, that it's like it is made in a way where because it's showing you the 80s and it's showing you the 50s, it could be made, like you said, it could be made now because it feels like they're setting a stage for that instead of it like us having to watch and be like, oh, that's what the 80s look like. This movie's so outdated. It's like purposefully like that. It was, even though it came out in the 80s, it was like making fun of the 80s. And I thought that was genius. Yeah,
it's perfect. I mean, it has the quotes. It has the car is literally a legend now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The DeLorean.
And then it has that awesome, like you said, like it's written in that you can't remake it and it'll never be remade. So then that's just like, even the conversation about that is a testament to its legacy. But it's an easy 7.
Totally.
777. My first note here is
111 more
number
than the
of
number
Supreme
of the Beast.
USC film classes use Back to the Future as a model for the perfect screenplay. So I feel like that says a lot about the legacy of this.
Wow, I didn't know
that. That's really cool.
Yeah, dude. I tell people that all the time because I'm proud of my favorite movie, and I feel like it just gives it some weight to when you're like, no, it's the best movie ever. Literally,
it has a date.
It's taught
it
that
has
way.
Back to the Future Day. October 26, 2015. We were hanging out on that day, Blake.
I was reading this cool article. Good times, bro. Sorry. Fun hanging out. Fun hanging out.
Nailed it.
I was reading this article of this writer for Vox, Emily Todd Vanderwerf.
Yeah, and she's okay.
She also loves Back to the Future, but she had a comment in there that said Zemeckis shoots a school dance like a car chase. And I was like, I really just liked that because like all the suspense, building up right there. I was like, that's so good.
Huh?
Yeah, like
it does really build the suspense.
I
That's
know.
beautiful.
I read that right after I watched that scene, and I was like, holy shit, that's like super accurate. So
it kind of actually even feels like the last like 20 minutes of a Christopher Nolan movie where they're like so many, it's like cutting back and forth between different scenes and like the thrill is still there. That's a funny point by her.
And he's like disappearing like while playing Earth Angel, but I love that the relief of like as soon as George kisses Lorraine and you have that like, oh, sick, they're saved. It's just like, all right, time to fucking play Johnny Be Good and let's bring this back to a chiller.
I love that the way that his hand comes up when he's invisible is like a hand shouldn't come up that way. Like it comes up like this.
Yeah, it's so weird.
But it's his left hand and it comes up almost like it's coming from the right and then it disappears. It's super dumb looking.
So good.
It's like the worst looking part of the movie by far.
I'm sure our audience is really going to appreciate that.
Yeah. That's why I described it too, Dad.
I mean, dude,
Daddy-o.
This is like one of the most iconic movies, and it was so well received when it came out. Like people really, really appreciated it. It got great reviews. I mean, it made $388 million on a $19 million budget. Spawned 2 sequels, which were both really, really well loved. Some people even like this.
Apparently, the middle one only has like a 65% on Rotten Tomatoes, which blew my mind. The third one has like an 80 something.
You know, it's actually kind of
the third one has a better rating.
Yeah, on Rotten Tomatoes.
Dude, I read some things
better.
that people were like, the third one's the best, and I said, no.
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 It's great, but it's not.
Oh, I will. I kind of want to point out one thing. First of all, like we've already talked about, like so many movies have copied this, obviously. But the other thing is, like, I feel like the influence of this movie can be seen in other movies where, like, they'll show the movie poster in the background. Or I was just watching the show Community the other day, and like the Back to the Future poster is in the background of a dorm room, and like you'll see if there's an 80s movie, they will show a movie theater in the town, and on the marquee it will say Back to the Future or something.
Yeah,
and that's
or
just
like people will use the font.
If I could give it an 8 out of 7, I would do that.
Yeah, It's sacred text, like you said, Gabe. That was a great line.
You guys were just saying it was I think, a hit when it came out. I didn't know that for a long time. I always heard it referenced as a cult classic. And for some reason, I thought that it like flopped and then there was a cult following and then they made the second one. But I was talking to my uncle on the phone yesterday and I told him we were doing the podcast and he was like, oh yeah, I remember when that came out and I saw it with your mom in the theaters. And I was just like, I mean, I was jazzed because it's my favorite movie. So I was asking him and he was like, oh no, it was like a huge deal. It didn't fly. He was like, it was really popular for a while. I was like, oh, cool.
I think this is one of those like rare occasions where it's both like a big box office hit and a cult classic. And it's so important to people like you guys. I mean, it's one of my favorite movies.
People
Don't get me wrong. It's just not my number one because I'm not
What do you mean by
that? All right, let's move on to quotability / rewatchability. So we think that comedy, I don't think that every movie needs to be rewatchable and it doesn't need to be super quotable, but really good comedies, especially classics, should be rewatchable and they should be quotable. And so kind of talk about, like, you could mention some quotes that you really like, but kind of talk about those quotes that, you know, found their way into your conversations with your friends and family and stuff, as I'm sure it has. I've heard both of you guys do it. I even quote it all the time. So let's start with Bill and Ted so we can end, you know, happily on Back to the Future. What did you guys give Bill and Ted?
I gave it a 5.
Same.
I think it's really funny consistently. I don't think, for me, it's not really rewatchable necessarily. And the quotes aren't amazingly repeatable except for a couple. But it's most ingrained in people's heads and hearts, dude.
I actually am kind of surprised that you gave it a 5, Nick, to be honest. Because I gave it a 5 as well, but mine is because for me growing up, this was like a very rewatchable movie. I always loved it. My mom like had it, and so I would always watch this. And so
I gained a newfound respect for how quotable it is. Not necessarily rewatchable.
It's their language that makes it super quotable.
All we are is dust in the wind.
Hey, dude. Oh my God, that scene is so fucking funny.
So great.
Hey, be excellent to each other.
And party on, dude. I
love
contemplated making that my email send-off from now on.
Oh,
be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes. Not that part because I work at a school, but maybe the be excellent to each other. I might honestly sign off emails that way.
When you said there's a 69 joke that you appreciated, when I started watching Bill and Ted and I was looking through the categories, before I watched the movie, the only quote I remembered was, what number are we thinking of? 69, dude. I feel like as a teenager,
you talked about this movie and you've said that before.
I feel like as a teenager for so long, randomly when that number would pop up, I would hear them saying it and I would say it like Bill and Ted and just be like 69, dudes.
Yeah.
That
dude, I kind of love the part. I used to say this a lot when I was a kid, but the part when Bill's dad and stepmom just start banging in his room, which is really fucked up, and Keanu Reeves is messing with him, and he's like, dude, he's about to get it with your stepmom in your room, and then he's like, shut up, Ted, shut up, Ted. Like, I remember that. I used to say shut up, Ted, all the time.
I wrote shut up, Ted, too.
That's a
good one.
Strange Things Are Afoot at the Circle K is hilarious.
Right before the Strange Things Are Afoot at Circle K, I feel like this one's not as like memorable, but I fucking died when they're sitting there like trying to do the project right before Rufus shows up, and Keanu Reeves turns to the lady walking the store and goes, "Excuse me, when did the Mongols rule China?" I don't know. I just work here, but like. Again, I can't deliver it, but like in the movie, watching it, just thinking of these kids sitting in the Circle K parking lot and being like, when did the Mongols rule China?
Like that was their idea. It's like, oh, we'll go sit in a public place and just ask people walking in about historical.
The part that they're like, they go up to the history teacher and they're like, we really appreciate everything that we learned in this class. I mean, and he's like, oh, really? What were some of the things you love? He's like, well, you know, like Napoleon and Joan of Arc and that guy Socratic method or something like that. Is great. There's one line that I really like, and I think that they're almost making fun of how deadpan Billy the Kid is, or how bad of an actor, as you guys would say. But when he goes, Billy, you're really dealing with the oddity of time travel with the greatest of ease.
Yeah, I love
It's just
that
the way they
line.
talk
But I
is
think it's
iconic.
because he's a bad actor and he just doesn't know what to do.
I think it was that they were almost making fun of it.
He's
but,
a terrible actor.
Yeah, I don't think it's like super
the
quotable
worst.
to a lot of people, but I think the language of it is kind of quotable.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So 5 for me. What did you give it, Blake?
I gave it a 4, and all the other quotes that you guys have already said are the ones I had written down. Be excellent to each other and party on. Strange things afoot at the Circle K. But yeah.
Did you?
Classics.
But you don't really find this to be that rewatchable.
So it's tough because I like it and I will rewatch it. That's why I went with the average 4. Like last night when I had to watch it for the podcast, I wasn't super stoked.
Yeah.
But then as I was watching it, I wasn't like hating it. It was good. So again, I felt like it slid right in there. Like I wasn't not enjoying myself. I wasn't loving it, and I was like average.
You know, this
average
episode was
rewatch.
your idea, though. This was like one of the, when we first had the conversation about the show, you were like, "Oh, it would be really good if you guys did Back to the Future versus Bill and Ted." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, it's a great idea."
Yeah, dude,
I almost
but-
didn't want to do it because I was like, you know.
But I think the issue again is any movie I'm comparing to Back to the Future, it's just gonna be
Problematic for you.
get lesser numbers.
That's because
kinda
Back
like-
to the
that's
Future
like me.
got a 7 from all 3 of us, and now we can move on.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we
JK.
can talk about some of the quotes. You guys love quoting this movie.
Oh,
Sure,
yeah.
Dad.
Oh no,
Dad.
I have.
Dad.
Can I
you know.
start? My favorite quote from any movie. I mean, because it's my favorite movie, and then I have a favorite quote in my favorite movie, so it might be my favorite movie quote of all time. Let's see.
Is-
Nick, can you guess it?
Is it milk, chocolate?
Oh,
No,
dude, that's my
I wrote
favorite.
that down.
You're so You're so You're so thin.
Wait, where I did write that.
My
down
favorite
somewhere.
line is by Lorraine's dad when he's like, "He's an idiot. Comes from upbringing. His parents are probably idiots too." Lorraine, you ever have a kid that acts like that, I'll disown you.
Yeah,
I love that.
and my favorite line from this movie when I was a kid was, "I am Darth Vader from planet Vulcan," and then I was like, "Dad, what's planet Vulcan?" Because I'd seen Star Wars, but I still don't really care for Star Trek, and he was like,
Dude,
it's
the
a
new
Star
ones are
Trek
good.
thing.
Damn.
My dad was the same way, so he was like, he was very dismissive. He was like, it's a Star Trek thing.
My mom is a Trekkie, and she would have fucking beat me she would have put me in a burlap sack and beat me.
She would have beaten you with a bag full of soap,
Yeah.
God.
bars of soap.
Blake, what is your
All right.
favorite line? What is
My
it?
favorite line from Back to the Future. If my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
But okay, so I actually quote this movie more with the SNL auditions, which
Yeah.
Nick and I always quote, but it's so funny imagining Al Pacino in that role with Have you seen that video, Blake?
I haven't, as you guys are
Dude,
saying this,
it's
I'm like,
oh my
I
god,
should
you
know
would love
this.
it. It's basically like they do auditions. It's like an SNL skit, and it's like they found this old footage of like auditions for Back to the Future, and it's like Al Pacino as Doc Brown. He's like, "Marty, my calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit." And they're like, "Cut."
Because he's like really aggressive about it. The whole
Yeah, and
Wait,
he's like,
that's so good.
"Great,
All right,
Scott. You're doing a great job, Scott. Hey, everybody, 3 cheers for Scott." Oh, Blake
Dude,
is gonna. Oh, there's that laugh I've been looking for.
Send this video to me after we talk.
oh, dude, you're
but-
gonna cry.
But
I
dude,
actually wonder if this movie, if the quotability is skewed because of my friendship with you guys. But I also
Probably.
I have clearly seen this movie enough times that I think I know it. I think I know all the quotes to it, and it's not even my favorite movie. So
for
it has
sure.
to be super rewatchable.
Yeah.
But that sorry to keep going back to it. That calculations are correct, dude. When all right, what is the fucking hardest thing you can say to a kid right before you blow his mind by letting him in on being the first person to witness time travel? And it's just you're gonna see some serious shit. And I'm like,
Yeah, and then he-
I know it's so
dude,
dumb, but I'm like, that's
Can we take a second to
hard.
appreciate the level of like what's the word, panache, the level of like
Flamboyance.
yeah, flamboyance, I guess, that Doc wants in the first documented instance of time travel, where he's like, no, come here, film here, right in front of the car that I'm gonna have
the
drive
car's gonna
straight
bash
at
you
us.
in the leg.
Yes,
Yeah.
dude. And then I love too when he's just like, plutonium? You can't get that at a corner store. Did you rip that off? And as he's still filming, he's like, Marty, no. And then he explains it all like on camera after he's like, no, don't talk about that. Yes, I ripped it off.
Is nuclear?
Yeah.
I have a question because I think this line is really funny, but I wonder if he ever did he say anything about the Libyans before the line that he goes, "Oh my God, they found me. I don't know how, but they found me. Run for it, Marty." And he goes, "What? Who?" And he goes, "Who do you think? The Libyans." Did he ever mention the Libyans before that?
No, but earlier in the movie, you can hear a TV
in the news
talking
scene.
about it. Yeah, there's a news scene where they're
But
talking
that's
about
why
it.
that line is so funny. He goes, "Who do you think?" Like, he's like, how the fuck would he know?
I think he does say, "I ripped it off from plutonium nationalists. I made them a bomb full of
Libyan,
shoddy pinball parts." I think he says Libyans.
He made a bomb made out of pinball machine parts.
So
Jesus,
I think
George,
he
it's a
says it
wonder
right
I was
there.
even born.
But on rewatchability, though, for this movie, I was trying to think. I mean, there's no way to say the number of how many times I've seen it, but I have a weird, tick in my weird tick mind of...
Yeah, you should get that checked out.
I watched Back to the Future.
Yeah, you're only supposed to have, brains
gonna get
and
Lyme
mucus and
disease.
stuff in there.
I watched Back to the Future
Not bugs.
at least once a year, and then I was like, I feel like it has to be at least minimum 2 a year, though, because I also watch it whenever I get sick. Like 2 weeks ago when I had the flu, I watched it, and then I watched it again for this podcast. But I have a thing where if it's been a long time, I'm like, okay, I have to at least once a year Back to the Future. So say I watched it twice a year, we get close to 60, and then I watched it a million times when I was little. I feel like I'm definitely in the hundreds of watching Back to the Future.
That's so absurd.
Shit is rewatchable, dude.
That's pretty
all
awesome.
I'm saying.
I'm gonna rewatch 2 and 3 next weekend.
Nice.
As part of my sad indoors birthday celebration.
All right, dude. Hey, Nick, I'm pretty sure this is going to go long enough that I am also going to have a sad
That's
indoors
true.
birthday.
That's
Yeah.
true.
It's all right.
That's most unfortunate.
Well, okay, so that's
party,
sevens.
bros.
Unless you guys have anything else, let's wrap it up. and,
dude.
add these up.
Let me blow
good.
through these quotes really quick. I'm afraid you're just too darn loud. Huey Lewis in the
a good
news.
one.
Love that Huey Lewis is saying it about his own song.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's pretty funny.
We didn't say, we said Great Scott a million times, but just gotta throw in there. It's
Great
Scott. Fucking, that's the quote.
It's great, Scott.
Make like a tree and get out of here. I love when Biff has all those dumb, can't say those lines. right?
Dude,
Or,
if you watch the
like a
SNL audition, you're going to laugh even harder because
My
the Alan
favorite is
Alda
actually
part.
in the second one where he says a screen door on a battleship, which is
That one is so
way
good.
funnier. But
Dude,
yeah.
I don't want to mess with no reefer addicts when his goons
Great
are
line.
putting Marty in the
Yeah.
trunk. And then roads, where we're going, we don't need roads. All right. I feel
We
like
call
we
it
needed to hit all
spook.
those.
All right, well, let's add these up. What is your total? What are your totals, Nick?
A hard 35 for Back to the Future and a 24 for Bill and Ted's Excellent
Not bad.
Adventure. No, not bad at all.
I gave Bill, as you know, Back to the Future, I just gave it a 34 out of 35. Very close to being, I think it is a perfect movie. I just kind of wanted to knock it down a little bit.
No, you picked the right category for it. I respect this.
Yeah, and then Bill and Ted, I gave a 27 out of 35.
13. I'm adding my Bill and Ted.
If this
'cause
was
I didn't know
movies
we had
that
to do
molded
this.
me, it was definitely a movie that molded me. I loved Bill and Ted growing up.
Did you pick it for that episode? I can't remember.
No, I put it a little bit lower because there are some 80s
Fair enough.
high school movies that I love. I was actually
All right.
pretty shocked.
What's
it
your
wasn't.
Bill and Ted? And then we'll move on to accolades and wrap this sucker up.
Yeah.
22 for Bill and Ted, and I'm 35 on Back to the Future.
So Bill and Ted gets a 60.
Bogus.
No. It's
Hate it.
73. I think.
This is most non-triumphant for Bill and Ted, okay?
Bogus.
All right, let's get into our accolade section. Blake,
Yeah, 70. No, wait. 74?
74 out of 105?
No, 73.
Out of 105?
Yeah.
That's great.
Can Back to the
think.
Future just win your podcast forever?
It did. Actually, it might. I think it has the highest score so far. 'Cause out of the
104?
three-person ones, it has the highest.
Yeah, I
Fuck
think
yeah,
so.
it does.
I mean, no one's ever going to beat that unless we have if we do a three-person one for, Parasite or something.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear Gabe complain about how I did accolades wrong.
You've done everything wrong. So, okay, accolades. We're gonna just break down some of the things that we want to give awards to. And Blake, I'll give some context to the audience. For Blake, is sent me a series of questions of like, so do I do like MVP for both of them or like each one? And like, what about
is that not the most valid question?
What's happening in the All-Star team? Do I choose 5 from each? And I go, no, just pick 5 overall.
Oh my God, you had to explain the directions of how your Can I talk to your other guests and see how their directions went? Did they just know everything?
We're actually a lot nicer to our other guests, but we needed you on because this is out of love. We are mean to you.
Yeah.
Okay, Blake, who's your MVP? Like, what one overall?
Motherfucking Big Dick Christopher Lloyd Doc Brown.
Yeah. Is that your MVP, Gabe? Who's your MVP?
Time travel.
Lame.
Biff.
It's Doc Brown,
Biff.
the inventor of time
Biff.
travel.
I think Biff is fucking dope.
Biff is so
funny. Does end as, but then I put as my LVP. I also put Biff because he becomes an indentured servant at the end.
Dude, my LVP is Shitty Dads.
Okay.
Shitty Dads lose both movies. Both Dude. Bill and Ted's dads are just the worst. Or OG Crispin Glover is the worst. Yeah. Lorraine's dad is the worst.
Yeah, fuck you, dads.
I have
bad dads are the worst.
I have George Carlin, dude, and I wrote love him, think he's a wonderful comedian, like you said, but I felt like
that's your LVP.
Misused, didn't act right, but he just was not good or great at all. Like I honed in because I was like skeptical when I was looking for my LVP, and then I was just like, George Carlin's like not acting or doing like he could have made.
No, he doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
And then I also wrote Billy the Kid sucked, awful. We don't even need to talk about him anymore. Bad actor, but
he's terrible.
I put as a funny note in here when I was reading all the trivia for Back to the Future. The scene in the diner where Marty punches Biff and then the first skateboard chase.
He invents the skateboard.
They kept Eric Stoltz's hand for punching Biff. That's Eric Stoltz punching.
Oh,
so I wrote Eric Stoltz as the LVP because he was a huge asshole and everyone hated him, and they had to reshoot the fucking movie because of him.
Yeah, LVP is definitely Eric Stoltz. They literally made most of this movie and then had to reshoot it. Like, dude, how much of a loser are you? And I actually love Eric Stoltz.
Me too, dude. And I've known that for a long time, but I was really thinking about it on this watch, and I was like thinking of how deep into the movie they got and how horrible it must have been for them to have to get to that point of like, fuck, well, we have the whole movie, but I guess like he just really fucking sucks. So I guess we'll have to do this.
This dude does not rip. We have to get rid of him.
Dude, also with Biff, they said Eric Stoltz almost broke his collarbone in the cafeteria scene because he kept hitting him so hard. And Biff was like, kept asking him to stop, and he didn't. And I guess in the car scene at the end, Eric Stoltz didn't make it to the filming, but Thomas Wilson wanted to like fuck his shit up in that scene and was looking forward to like hitting him.
That's sick. Nice. Thomas F. Wilson is
so legend. Crazy.
Nice.
Okay, dude, who's your comeback player of the year?
Did we do the All-Star teams yet?
Let's do these and then do the All-Star at the end.
Okay.
Well, who's your comeback player of the year? So that's the person who kind of came back and like maybe it's a performance over time or in the movie that kind of like went from something that you didn't care about that kind of like went to the front. I don't know how to explain it.
I thought that was good. Yeah, it's like the person who grew on you the most. And mine's Lorraine. Lorraine is almost more depressing than George at the beginning of this movie.
Oh, she's so depressing.
And
because she kind of is like almost a helpless romantic at the beginning.
Yeah, she's really and like drinking pop-off vodka, which is
it's really disgusting.
So she was my comeback player of the year.
What about you, Blake?
All right, I stopped recording again. This is going to be super fun.
God damn it.
I just got it back on. That's why I stopped talking. No, we're good. You're just going to have to do some editing.
I hate you.
Oh, fuck, and it stopped again. Okay.
All right, my comeback player of the year
go for
is
it. You
George
go.
McFly, because he's so pathetic, and then he's kind of like cooler later, even though he's still kind of a loser. I don't know. He's funny. But dude, oh my God. Oh, I just figured out who my sixth man is.
A match made in space, baby. Should have gotten that right
Okay.
on that quiz.
All right, we're on comeback still, right?
Yeah, that was fucked.
Okay.
Sorry,
My
Nick.
comeback player. So I had both of yours written down. I thought Lorraine and George McFly, both, they obviously have huge changes throughout the movie. But I think I'm going to give it to Biff because he has the most positive change. He goes from being an asshole to be like a very humble, scrubbing their car in the driveway.
Dude, he is the saddest man on earth at the end of that movie.
He's
and
a
then
fucking
also,
servant.
Marty's brother Dave.
Indentured servant.
Marty's brother Dave, who goes from fast food to Forbes. I had that written down too.
Whoa,
He's in the
good
beginning.
line, bro.
Nice.
Dude, he's like in the fast food, and
It's
then
a
he's
suit,
in a suit.
Marty. I always wear a suit to the office.
So
Yeah.
that's a positive change right there.
Okay, let's do sixth man of the year. And I just figured out one, but sixth man of the year is where we talk about who did the most with the least. And while I originally had Genghis Khan, because he doesn't even get any lines of dialogue, he's like doing so much in literally just 2 scenes of Bill and Ted. I have to put in, and Nick knows I really love this guy, I have to put in the redheaded guy who steals Lorraine at the dance in Back to the Future, and he's like, dude,
He's like a cartoon.
he is he goes, beat it, McFly. Dude, think about how funny that scene is. He just beat the biggest bully at the school, who is literally looks like a 7 foot tall like beefcake. And then this fucking nerdy asshole redhead steals Lorraine and goes, beat it, McFly. Dude, that guy is a legend. All of your answers are wrong.
I noted that and was like, why did they add that in the movie? After like George beats Biff, why do they have
Because
this
he's the
second
final boss,
villain?
dude.
I know,
He's the final boss.
Is he the same actor that's like no, it's not. Do you guys know American Pie? Have you heard of the film American Pie?
Yes. Are you kidding, Shermanator?
Yes, dude.
No.
Isn't he Sherman? That's like
Different
him,
actor.
though. No, I know, but I'm just saying they're like the same person.
Oh, I will tell you, if we were doing American Pie right now, I'd give MVP to Shermanator because I think he's one of the most iconically awesome characters.
Dude, well, that guy on Back to the Future is Sherman.
My sixth man is Napoleon.
Nice. Yeah. He
hands
is
down.
technically speaking the best with
John Calamari, or whatever
Dude.
the actor's name is.
He
Thomas
does some-
Calamari.
When you were saying Joan of Arc is like an alien put into the future, I feel like that whatever his name is, Calamari, is like a Frenchman from Napoleon time put in the future.
Yeah.
He fucking nails it. No.
Yeah, he's like, what is this delicious? He just eating
Do you know
food
how
and stuff.
fucking
She's walking
funny
around
it-
like, what is clothes? What?
Do you know how funny it is to have them go to
Ziggy
Napoleon?
piggy.
Yeah.
Do you know that it's illegal in France still to name a pig Napoleon?
God.
Because it's seen as like a fuck you to authority.
That's
Crazy.
awesome.
No.
My sixth man is no McFly will amount to anything in the history of Hill Valley, Mr. Strickland.
Oh, he is
I feel
really
like,
good.
dude, I was watching him. He has like 2 parts, but I'm like, he's such a good like asshole teachery whatever. He's not even a
didn't that
teacher.
guy
What does he
ever have
fucking
hair?
do? Yeah,
Yeah.
right. But
That's a great.
he's-
I think that's a great pick.
he's
Yeah,
really
it's a good one.
Okay, who are your all-star teams? So all-star is just your top 5 performances from both of these movies that you would pair against any other top 5 or any other 5 pair performance.
Marty, Doc, Biff, George, and Ted.
Damn, that's how this works,
What do you?
Yeah, dude, have you ever listened to the podcast that you're on?
dude. I picked specific like a scene. I didn't know it was
You
just like that
messy-
whole
God
actor.
damn
I
it,
have,
Blake!
like-
I made this as clear as possible.
You messy
you fucking
bitch.
didn't.
You messy bitch. You.
All right, Blake, do your one then.
It's gonna sound so weird.
This
but
is
all
gonna be
right.
hilarious to our audience.
I have more than 5.
You sloppy whore.
Are you
I'll cut it down.
fucking okay? You know what?
Okay. Lorraine in the Hope chest scene. I thought that was great from her. Biff at the beginning when he gets the McFly car towed to their house and he's explaining like, all you have for me is light beer, McFly. I'm just like, thought he killed it there. Goldie Wilson in the diner. Strickland catching Marty come into school, even though it's small. And then, this is weird the way I wrote this, but I have all three actors in the assault scene. So like, Crispin Glover and Wilson and fucking Leah Thompson. I felt like all three of those characters all had such amazing performances, like, and how they would be acting in that. So I'm just gonna leave that there.
That was a weird take on a simple
that ended up. I kind of like that, but that's not how we do this. But I do like that. I will go with most of what Nick did. I will do Christopher Lloyd, Thomas F. Wilson, Michael J. Fox, Napoleon for sure, Calamari, and then I'd probably just go as like a tie because I like Bill and Ted as a character, like together.
What's your favorite scene in Back to the Future, Blake?
Well, it would be Liddy Titty Clock Tower is what I have written down.
So the clock tower scene?
Yes.
Yeah, dude, when
at the end?
When he's reacting and like the fucking cable's hanging off of his foot and then he comes out of the tree and he's like, oh! Yeah. And like he has to slide just that whole thing into the into like the DeLorean going back to 85.
That's
and then he's like dancing in the street. That
dude,
whole
the
thing,
transition
like,
from the 50s after Marty goes back to 1985, the transition there from the clock tower to like a helicopter flying over the clock tower is a really good transition. I just thought I'd point that out because we didn't do eye candy. It looks really cool. My favorite scene is when Marty arrives in the 50s.
Yeah,
and
that's a good one too.
that is like etched in my memory from when I was a kid. That scene is fantastic, and the Sandman is playing. Mr. Sandman is playing. It's amazing.
Yeah, that is really cool.
From that scene, the kid on the slinky shoes is burned into my brain.
Oh yeah,
the kid on the slinky
sick.
shoes.
Dude, whoever was like, oh yeah, let's get some fucking, what did they have in the 50s?
Slinky shoes?
Slinky shoe kid. Yeah.
Great. My favorite scene is the diner scene. The milk chocolate or whatever, and then the whole thing with Biff. Do you have an infant trooping award for dumbest moment?
Everything involving Billy the Kid in Bill and Ted's.
For me, honestly, my dumbest moment comes from Back to the Future, and it is it's the beginning when I know that you mentioned that Bill and Ted do this, but they do it in a more like realistic way. The part when he goes into the barn, turns up the amplifier all the way to the top where it's like a giant amplifier stands right in front of it. And I was like, what were you planning on doing? What did you think was going to happen? It's
one of the very few things in the movie that I'm like,
I may go as far as to say it's the stupidest scene in the history of all of movies.
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
It's pretty dumb.
All right,
is it anything involving Billy the Kid? Is that yours, Blake?
Yeah. I mean, I had a toss-up. They're both from Bill and Ted.
What's the other one?
One of them was when Socrates and Billy the Kid and then eventually Sigmund Freud are in the mall hitting on these teenage girls. And the girls are, like, laughing and calling them geeks. And, like, the whole thing, I'm just like, this is such a weird thing to put in this movie. These, like, one of them is like a grandpa. One of them is like a weird fake cowboy hitting on these like 16-year-old girls.
Put it in more context. One is a grandpa that literally fucked boys. One is like a creepy person who thinks that everyone wants to have sex with their mom. And then one is a bad actor.
And I got like, it's just whatever, like campy, but at the same time, I'm like, really with strange. Everything happening in the movie, why did they just put this scene of them like hitting on these girls?
That's a great pick. Yeah,
that one.
That's a good one.
And then the police station distractions leading up to the trash can dropping on Ted's dad. I'm like, these guys could barely like. I mean, I guess they had a big day where they got a lot done, but like. They're not going back and figuring out to fucking put that trash can above his dad that's going to fall on him.
Blake, you're not allowed to get high and watch movies because you are overthinking a very stupid movie.
Dude,
Bro,
my synopsis
life.
for Bill and Ted's Adventure should have been Bill and Ted, two idiots in high school, have a really big day and get a lot done. that should have been it.
Do you guys have any like recommendations of movies like these, or anything that you think people should watch that you think they
Back to
haven't
the
watched?
Future Part 2 and Back to the Future Part 3.
That's good.
Yes.
That's it.
I've put Rick and Morty because I know that it was
good.
based on that. It's my favorite
glad you said
adult
that.
cartoon. I don't know if you guys watched that video I sent you this morning.
Yeah.
That was what inspired Rick and Morty. I thought that was hilarious. And then I had like, if you want Michael J. Fox, Teen Wolf, Zemeckis and Christopher Lloyd team up again in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I fucking love that movie. We are doing that soon.
And then one of my other favorite movies is Forrest Gump. So two of my favorite movies directed by Zemeckis. Has nothing to do with Back to the Future, but
You like Forrest Gump?
travel through history.
Everyone likes Forrest Gump.
Well, sorry, it's
Everyone likes Back to the
those
Future,
are those
though.
are good recommendations. I would just recommend other 80s high school movies, maybe some like lesser known ones that you guys haven't seen. Just look them up or listen to us on Movies That Molded Me, where we rank those.
Man, that was fun. We gotta
I
get
say
back on
rewatch Hot Tub Time Machine. I think it gets funnier each time, and it's especially funny after watching Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Okay, you can follow
Cue
us
the
on
music.
social. What? Yeah.
Cue the
You
music.
can follow us on social media, Instagram.com/facingoffpod. Hit us up. It's gonna be like so fun if you like send me memes and stuff on there. I'm always on it, and we give recommendations for lesser known movies that are on Netflix and Hulu and Amazon right now. So do that. Twitter.com/facingoffpod. Just look up Facing Off Podcast and you'll see our hilarious tweets. Because only other podcasts are following us right now, and we want humans to follow us. And also go to Southern New Hampshire University, put in promo code FacingOffPod, and you get a free online degree. And then also you can send us emails as Southern New Hampshire University did, facingoffpodcast@gmail.com. We'll read your emails. We really appreciate when we get them, especially when Kevin did it, Kevin Gathman and Otto Herman and my mama.
Do you have a sign-off?
Have a sign-off, like a send-off.
Blake, do you have one?
If anyone's still listening, they're holding me against my will. Please help me. Bring food. If you have a copy of Back to the Future on DVD, I would love to watch that again.
No, I don't have anything. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks for coming on, Blake.
Thank you. Gabe, you have one?
It's like an airplane loaded with wings.
Be excellent to each other, everybody, and party on, dudes.
Stay classy, San
All right,
Diego.
stop the recording for the 5th time, Blake.